Hello everybody and welcome back to the second shelf and to a video all about the BookerPrize. Tomorrow on Monday the 2nd of September, the shortlist of the BookerPrize 2019 will be announced. I'll leave a link to the website of the BookerPrize down below, and also I will list all the 13 long-listed books down below. Samuel over at Samuel Durham, he made a video with shortlist predictions, a sort of a tag video, and he tagged me kindly. By the way, if you are not familiar with Samuel, he's a playwright and booktuber, and I think you should definitely check out his channel. He deserves many more subscribers than he has currently. But anyway, so he made a video about the Booker and his predictions and asked other booktubers to do the same. Now, I would love to do that, to do a real proper prediction video, but I've read so far only 3 of the 13 long-listed books. So it's maybe not quite my place to predict which books will make or should make the shortlist. But I thought because the shortlist is announced, it's a good time to make a video about the Booker, and I can talk about the books that I want to read and the books that I have read. And I mean, I suck at predictions anyway, so maybe I can talk about the upcoming shortlist even without having read most of the books. Who knows, maybe those predictions are better than the ones I make when I've read the books. And let's just start with one of those completely unfounded predictions, just to get that out of the way. If you look at the long list, there are 4 big author names on it. That's, of course, Salman Rushdie with his new book, retelling of the Don Quixote tale. You have Janet Winterson with a sort of new take on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. You have Margaret Atwood with the sequel to The Handmaid's Tale. And you have Deborah Levy with her new novel, The Man Who Saw Everything. 2 of these authors, Atwood and Rushdie, have won the prize before. Rushdie has won it twice. To be exact, he won it 3 times because there was this, big anniversary prize for the best man Booker winner in the last 50 years. So he won it 3 times. Edward won it once, and Levy was shortlisted twice for Swimming Home and Other Stories and Hot Milk, but she hasn't won. And I don't think Janet Winterson was ever longlisted or shortlisted. I don't think all 4 will make the long list, the 6 finalists. I don't believe that. And if I have to say, just to make it sure that you don't get me wrong, I've read only 1, and that's the Janet Winterson book. I will talk about that a little later. I love Deborah Levy. I'm looking forward to reading her new book. And I think from the reviews you saw, Salman Rushdie's book and Atwood's book, my wish would be that at least one of the 2, Janet Winterson or Deborah Levy, preferably both, but at least one of those 2 will make the shortlist. So, unfounded, wishful thinking prediction. But let's just leave the predictions out for a little bit and talk about the 3 books that I've read. And the first book is a debut novel from a Nigerian author, and that is Oyinkan Braithwaite, My Sister the Serial Killer, which came out last year. I think this book was, for many Booker Prize following booktubers, the most surprising choice for the long list. The book is about 2 sisters, Corridee and Ayola. Ayola being a very, very beautiful but self-centered, narcissistic woman, and Corridee is the down-to-earth, working hard older sister. She works as a nurse, and Ayola has many boyfriends, but she has a tendency to kill them when they don't treat her well. And then Corridee comes in to clean up the mess. That's, in short, the plot of the book. This book is not perfect. I really, really liked it. I can see that it's a debut novel, hence not perfect at all. I will leave a link to a really good nuanced review by Brian from Bookish, who will point out all the flaws to you. But I was really happy that the book made the long list, because it is such a fresh take on the image, the female image in society, in particular Nigeria. But the book is can be interpreted broader. So it's not only, quote unquote, about the female experience in present day Nigeria and the way females could react to being mistreated. That's all I'm going to say. So I feel there are many more layers to this book. I mean, and in addition, it's really funny, comical, despite, the killing and the blood. But I felt that this book had something to say that was important and that was fresh and that was also funny. I would love to see the book on the shortlist, but I don't think it will make it. The second book I read from the long list is Valeria Luiselli, Lost Children Archive, which came out in February. It's a book about a road trip. A family, a wife, husband, and 2 young children, a daughter of 5-ish and a son of 10, 12-ish, in a car from New York across the United States. The theme, lost children, that is most touched upon during the whole book is children from Mexico, illegal immigrants, and what happens to them. I really, really loved the first part, in which an unnamed female narrator tells us about the road trip, about the children immigrating illegally from Mexico, but also about her work, about her marriage. We get the background of the family. It's quite a stream of consciousness. It almost reads like a memoir, but I loved it. I really loved that first part. In the second part, the point of view switches from the female narrator to the son, the young boy. And he then continues the story, telling us about what happened during the rest of the road trip, also touching upon the illegal immigration issue, and telling us what happened to the marriage. I didn't like that part at all. The switch of the narration didn't work for me. The point of view of the boy didn't work for me. I have always issues with child narrators, I have to say. It just didn't work. So if I were one of the judges of the BookerPrize, I would certainly not vote this book on the shortlist. But many people loved both parts. They loved the book as a whole. So I wouldn't be too surprised if this book made the shortlist. And the third and final book that I read from the long list is, of course, Janet Winterson's new novel, Frankenstein, which came out in May. If you're following my channel, you will know that I really deeply admire Janet Winterson's work. I've read almost all of her books. I think there are 1 or 2 that I still haven't read yet. And I don't love them all equally. I don't think they are all brilliant. But she is a writer that I will always pick up her newest book. And sometimes I don't like it that much, but I still will pick up the newest novel. Frankenstein is about Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. So part of the book is set in the early 1900s when Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein. So it's a reimagination of Mary Shelley's life during that time and the writing of that famous book. The second timeline is set in the near future, reinventing a modern Dr. Victor Frankenstein and talking about issues of artificial intelligence and what it means to be human and what we could do scientifically. In short, that's in short what the book is about. I really, really enjoyed it. As I said earlier in the video, I would hope that the book would make the shortlist. But I think it's a book that certainly doesn't appeal to everybody. The writing is it's not a straightforward story, first of all, and it's a book of ideas, sometimes maybe a little bit over intellectualizing, and I can see that this would put some readers off. So even though I hope it will make the shortlist, I'm doubtful. And if I look at the long list, then I don't know. Yeah, I can only say I'm doubtful. I hope, but I'm doubtful. And then on to four, I think. Let me see. Yeah, four books that I just recently bought of the long list that I definitely want to read. And the first one is this that I just talked about, because I want to reread it. And I want to reread it in a physical copy. I got an ARC from NetGalley, but on the reread, I want to have my own physical copy. So that's the first one. The second one I bought is this, also long listed, Elif Shafak, 10 minutes, 38 seconds in this strange world. Now, Elif Shafak is a Turkish-British author, and I've read two previous books by her, The Daughters of Eve and The Bastard of Istanbul. The Bastard of Istanbul I liked but didn't love, and The Daughters of Eve I just thought was a bad book. But her work is acclaimed and loved by many, and I thought I have to give this author another try, and certainly with a book that is longlisted for a major book prize. The premise of this book is scientific research, that there is still brain activity after a person died for a maximum of 10 minutes and 38 seconds. The book follows Layla, a woman, a female prostitute who has been found dead, beaten to death, and who then has, in these 10 minutes and 38 seconds, memories of her life. So it's an interesting premise, a scientific premise as well. And like I said, I want to give this author another try. From the reviews I saw, they were mixed. So I'm not sure whether this book will have a chance to make the shortlist. The next book I bought from the long list is this one, Girl, Woman, Other, by Bernardine. Can you see it? Yes, Bernardine Evaristo. Bernardine Evaristo is a London-based English writer with a partly Nigerian heritage. Her father is from Nigeria. And this book, I don't know much about it. It's about 12 women in present-day London and their experience. I picked up this book despite some also mixed review, like the Elif Shafak novel that I just talked about, because I've never read any work by Bernardine Evaristo, and I thought I should remedy that. But this is also a book that I do not really expect to see on the shortlist, but maybe I will be surprised. And the fourth and final book I bought in physical form is, yes, you can already sort of anticipate, I bought the Duck book. Lucy Ellmann's Brick, Duck's Newburyport, 1,000 and something pages written in a stream of consciousness, 8 sentences. So it's like, goes on and on and on and on. Lucy Ellmann was born in Illinois but moved to England when she was in her teenage years. She published a previous novel, her debut, Sweetest Dessert or Sweet Desserts or something. I haven't read that. And I bought this because I'm just curious about this break. I don't know whether this idea of an Ohio housewife reflecting on her life from the beans she should buy to natural disaster and political ruminations, whether this idea will sustain a 1,000-page book. I will have to see. But I'm just too curious not to at least try it. I can't promise that I will finish it, because if I'm bored, I will not finish it. But I at least want to give it a try. If you want to have an in-depth and profound review of this book, I will leave a link to Eric's video, Eric from The Lonesome Reader, who read the book and who loved it and who made a review video. So you should check that out if you want to know more than my really not profound ramblings about the book. And I absolutely expect this book to be shortlisted because it's different. Because it's a new way of creating a novel, and I would be highly, highly surprised if it didn't make the shortlist. And speaking of Eric from The Lonesome Reader, he also just, I think today, uploaded his predictions of the shortlist. I will leave a link to that also down below. And then I bought one other book. I talked about it already. That's Deborah Levy's new novel, The Man Who Saw Everything. I bought it as an ebook. It's about a young man, a historian, set in 1988. First in London, but then he moves to East Berlin just before the fall of the wall for his studies, and the book is then about this man's life, but I expect from what I know from Deborah Levy's other work that it will be more than that. I'm really looking forward to reading it, and as I said earlier, without even having read the book, I just hope that she will make the shortlist. And the other book that I will buy, because it's not out yet, is of course Margaret Atwood, The Testaments. It will come out on the 10th of September, so a week after the shortlist has been announced. I don't care whether it makes the shortlist or not. I'm just too curious. I already talked about this book in the September TBR, that I'm not even ashamed to just jump on the bandwagon. I want to know what happened to Offred after the end of The Handmaid's Tale. I don't even care whether it's a good book. I just want to know. So those are the books that I either read or plan to read from the long list. As I said in the beginning of this video, I can't make more predictions than that because there are just too many books that I haven't read yet. But I'm curious, of course, whether you have read any books of the long list, whether you like them, whether you can make predictions. Thank you very much for watching these sort of not very profound ramblings about the BookerPrize. Talk to me in the comments, as I said already, and I'll see you all soon in the next one. Bye-bye.